Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I'm Bill Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and I'm pleased to welcome all of you to tonight's Town Board meeting, July 11, 2018. It's always a pleasure to have people here. We're going to start with a pledge to the flag. I'll ask Councilmember Warner to lead us, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. In just a few minutes, we will be getting to the open forum portion of our meeting, but we have several proclamations, recognitions, presentations, all of them important to go first. I'm going to start with Chief Henderson.
Mr. Supervisor, members of the board, tonight marks an occasion, recognition of nearly 25 years of police service. Walter Bruzda, also known as Skip. Skip has served in a number of capacities within the police department. He was a police officer, a field training officer, crime scene technician, and there was a period of time in your career that you had a noteworthy assignment in which that you were Canine Eric's handler. And at the height, Canine Eric was one of our first dogs in the police department. They quickly, I know, I wanted to compare, we had two dogs. We wanted to, they got to treat them equally. So Skip had the distinction throughout Monroe County. You were a phenomenal handler. Canine Eric responded to you. He quickly would take drug investigations and he'd find drugs that were secreted, saving hours of searching and an officer safety perspective. He had a great career. After the canine handling, Skip was promoted to the rank of sergeant, where you served a number of years as a first-line supervisor. On his last day of duty, I was going to present Skip with this certificate of appreciation. Skip indicated he wanted to come to the town board tonight, which was great. So I know you have something you'd like to do. If I may, Skip, I'll read your plaque and just acknowledge the phenomenal work that you've done at the Brighton Police Department. Certificate of appreciation from the Brighton Police Department on the occasion of your retirement and in recognition of 24 years of dedicated service to the Brighton Police Department. You have demonstrated your dedication and commitment to the members of the community, of the town of Brighton, and the town of Brighton Police Department by serving in a variety of roles. You've served in the capacity of a patrol officer, crime scene technician, canine officer, and sergeant. You also served as an instructor and coordinator of the Citizens Police Academy. It is with gratitude and respect that we acknowledge the significant contributions you have made throughout the past 24 years. And I've signed this on behalf of the men and women of the Brighton Police Department.
But wait, there's more. Skip, these are the bittersweet moments because we know how sweet it is to wrap up a career and have the opportunity to do what you want to do. We were talking about camping before the meeting, and I know you're going to have some time to enjoy it. But I know you're going to miss this organization, but not nearly as much as all of us at the table, and particularly the residents of Brighton are going to miss you. Your service really has been across the spectrum. You've touched a lot of people in your work, not just because of the time you were with the department, but with all of the different aspects of the work you did. So I do want to read a proclamation that the town board is presenting to you. Whereas, on October 16, 1993, Walter Skip Bruzda began his career as an officer in the Brighton Police Department. Whereas, during his career with the Brighton Police Department, Skip Bruzda earned the department's Excellent Police Service Award, served as an instructor, coordinator of the Citizens Police Academy, and was Brighton Police Department's first canine officer with Canine Eric. And they were responsible in helping keep our community safe and responsible for many narcotic seizures in Monroe County. And whereas on September 17, 2011, Skip Brewster was promoted to the position of sergeant, scoring #1 on the civil service list. And thereafter, until July 7, 2018, Skip served the citizens of the town of Brighton in the position of sergeant, holding his values and integrity while making decisions in the best interest of the citizens of Brighton and the department. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, William W. Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and the members of our town council do hereby recognize, honor, and thank Sergeant Walter Skip Brewster for all that he has done and given to our community as a member of the Brighton Police Department. And this proclamation is signed on the 11th day of July, 2018 by myself and by the members of the Brighton Town Council.
Well, as Supervisor Maley said, it is bittersweet. I really do look forward to the next phase of my life, but I've had a great career and I really did love this job. Thank you all for coming tonight. 25 years ago, I was just a young guy trying to become a police officer. Captain Cavallero gave me a call and offered me an interview. I thanked him, hung up the phone, and looked for a map to find out where the heck Brighton is. 25 years later, I know this town like the back of my hand. It's become a second home. I know every neighborhood, every park, every shortcut and cut through in this town. I've seen a lot and I've done a lot. I've filled many different roles, as they've mentioned. I'm retiring as a sergeant, but I also spent time as a crime scene technician, field training officer, bike patrol officer, Citizens Police Academy coordinator. The list goes on. The role that gets all the glory is my time as a canine officer. And I often tell people, being a canine officer is the best job you could ever have. I mean, face it, you get paid to work with your dog. Everywhere I went with Canine Eric, we were the heroes. Other cops were happy to see us because they knew we were there to chase the bad guys. And we weren't chasing bad guys or sniffing out drugs. We were visiting with Girl Scout troops, Cub Scout troops, senior citizens groups, Brighton High School, law and government classes. But as I retire today, I want my legacy, the thing I leave behind was my time as an FTO. When new officers come to Brighton Police, they're assigned with various field training officers to help teach them how to do things the right way, the Brighton way. I've been an FTO to many of the officers, many that are standing over here tonight. Officers who are now coming up to the ranks, they're filling the roles that I once filled. They're becoming leaders, and they're continuing the tradition of excellence that we've established at the Brighton Police. Although in life, I'm a relatively young man, in the world of law enforcement, I'm the old guy, and it's time for me to step aside and let the younger officers lead the department into the future. I'm proud of my career, and I'm proud that I was a Brighton police officer. Thank you.
If it is all right with the board, I would ask permission to move an action item from general session into this phase, Mr. Supervisor?
Absolutely.
Yeah. As you just heard, Sergeant Brewster ends a 25-year career. He had a position that is integral in our organization, that the rank of sergeant. And would I, as the recommending authority, if Investigator Tim Karch to join me at the podium, I'll talk a little bit about it, see if it's, if the board would be so moved. There's a resolution authorizing the promotion of Investigator Tim Karch. So come on up, Tim. Jody, would you like to join us? I've communicated to the board that I'm recommending Investigator Timothy Karch be promoted to the rank of police sergeant. He's currently on the active civil service list in Monroe County. Tim, right now, he has a very important role in the organization. He's our identification investigator. He's our CSI. He has specialty training in a number of areas of forensic, evidence handling. The most important aspect that he currently holds right now is he's our property room manager. And Tim has indicated that he would like to be promoted to the rank of sergeant. I can tell you I've watched Tim grow since the mid-90s in the police organization. He epitomizes and embraces community policing. Many of you on the board know Tim from his role as the law enforcement or the police explorers. He's given of his time. He's taken away from his family so that he could be with the young police explorers. And my recommendation is that you move Investigator Karch to the rank of police sergeant.
Thank you, Mark, and we will move that item up. It is resolution number 7 on your list. And Jim, I'll ask you to make that motion.
I'd like to move on that resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town and effective immediately.
Second.
July 14th, actually.
July 14th, sorry.
The promotions, the uniforms today, the badge pinning will be today. The actual new assignment will start on Saturday, the 14th.
All right.
We have a motion by Councilmember Vogel and seconded by Councilmember Warner. Any comments?
It's been a pleasure working with Tim as he's led the police explorers in a number of events. I see Louise in the back as well, where Tim and his group have always been helpful. And I'm pleased to see this appointment.
Congratulations, Tim. Really.
Congratulations, Tim.
Congratulations, Tim. I've enjoyed working with you and the Explorers.
And I'll save mine for a moment. Hearing no further comments, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Tim, I date back to about the mid-'90s in this organization as well. And somehow you look an awful lot younger than I do. I'm not quite sure how that worked. But you have served in so many roles with the department. You truly do. You have embodied, you have internalized community policing for this department, and that is so important to the way the department is committed to serving the people of Brighton. So I am very pleased to see this promotion, and I'm very happy to cast the final aye vote for that promotion. Congratulations.
Former councilperson Novros would like to make a comment before we start, or would you like to, if that's okay, it would be.
Sure, that's okay.
Hi. I met Tim when he and the Explorers came to help me on all the recycling events. He is the coolest person. I've never seen him flip out. I've never seen him get angry. He has been a wonderful, wonderful leader for all the kids, and he has helped me immensely. He's easy to talk to. He's easy to schedule with, and I think that you made a very wise choice.
Tim, if you would not mind coming up here, Clerk Amy will administer the oath. Jody, you get the honors. All those accolades you just heard, remember I talked about how careful you have to be with your hands. This will be the true barometer as to how things are.
Things are.
I, Timothy Karch,
I, Timothy Garsh,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of Police Sergeant according to the best of my ability.
of Police Sergeant according to the best of my abilities.
Well deserved. Great.
Before Sergeant Karch speaks, I would like to recognize Tim's family, his mom, his sister, Jody's family, your children. Phenomenal out. I was going to apologize to everybody for taking up the early part of the meeting, but it's all about Tim Carter.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Chief. I appreciate your support and recommendation. Thank you to the members of the town board for assigning this position to me and approving it. I appreciate it. I stood in this room about 15 or so, a little over 15 years ago, in front of a slightly different town board, and took the oath of office as a police officer. And I've appreciated all the support from all the FTOs, the administration, the town board, and everything all the way along the line of my career. Shortly after I took that oath 15 years ago, approximately 2 months after, I lost one of my supporters. My dad passed away shortly after coming on in the force. The rest of the members of the department, some of them that were here behind you today, came together and really invited me into the family and really got to know me and supported me through all that. I can't do this job without their support. No one can be successful at it without the community behind them, without the administration behind them, and I look forward to doing that in this new capacity. It's almost fateful, I guess is a good word for it, that today would have been my dad's 72nd birthday and I'm getting sworn in. So thank you very much. I appreciate it, and I look forward to continuing the great work with the police department.
Okay, you're all welcome to stay, but I understand there may be other things you'd like to do. I'm going to ask Town Clerk Dan Amon to join me at the podium. Dan, I hate to break it to you, but this proclamation is probably not as exciting as what we've just done. But I think it is important as someone who, in my role as supervisor, has the opportunity to work with my colleagues, not only in Monroe County through the Supervisors Association, but throughout the state with the Association of Towns. I know how important it is to have an organization that provides networking and advocacy for legislation and you know, the whole variety of services. And 50 years ago, the Monroe County Town Clerks formed their organization. So we have a proclamation. I'll read it, and then Dan, you can say a few words. Whereas on July 12, 1968, a group of Monroe County Town Clerks met at the townhouse to form an organization consisting of the clerks and their deputies. And whereas this group was formed to promote the professional development of town clerks and their deputies in Monroe County, to allow for the mutual exchange of methods, operating experiences, problems, solutions, improvements of services, and to provide for opportunities to interact and communicate with organizations and entities that directly affect the offices of town clerks. Whereas over time, Monroe County tax receivers, tax collectors, and their deputies were added to the organization. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, William W. Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and members of our Town Council do hereby recognize, honor, and thank the Monroe County Tax Clerks, Tax Receivers, and Collectors Association for all that it has done and given to our community. And again, it's signed this 11th day of July, 2018 by myself and by the town board. Dan?
Well, thank you, Bill. Appreciate it. Thank you to the board very much. Accept this on behalf of the organization. You know, it really is a wonderful to be a part of a group who you can reach out to when there's a question. You know, there's lots of firsts that happen in these positions, and it's good to share through emails. There's constantly email change going around. Be like, have you ever run across X? Or, you know, have you heard from this solicitor group yet? Because they're being an issue in our town. So it's tremendously helpful, as well as the training that we have through our quarterly meetings. So just on behalf of the organization, just want to thank the supervisor and the board for acknowledging this pretty big milestone in our group's history. And it's a big event down at Canandaigua Lady and Sonnenberg, a little luncheon that's going to take place tomorrow. So I know I'll pass this along to my fellow clerks and with their thanks.
Oh, great. Good.
We have one last proclamation, and then we will have a presentation. But I want to invite Jeff Myers, the Interim Executive Director of the Out Alliance. Once again this year, the town of Brighton is celebrating Pride Week. We do it a little differently in the Rochester area. Many communities celebrated Pride and Pride Month last month. But so that everybody here would have an opportunity without having their schedules too conflicted, the Rochester area is always celebrated in July. And this next week coming up will be Pride Week. So this proclamation will recognize Pride Week in the town of Brighton, running from July 14th through July 22nd, 2018. Whereas Brighton has long celebrated diversity and equality of opportunity for all people, regardless of gender, race, creed, national origin, or sexual identity. And whereas diversity is a core value in Brighton, and the town of Brighton remains a leader among municipalities in recognizing that diversity makes Brighton a stronger community, and that equality under the law is an essential component of a strong, diverse community. Whereas one example of Brighton's commitment to equality under law occurred in December 2014, when the town of Brighton adopted GENDA, the Gender Expression Non-Discrimination Act, making discrimination against transgender individuals in employment, housing, accommodations, and other areas illegal in Brighton. And I'll just add, we did that because the state of New York refused to do it. The state Senate refused to do it. The state assembly had acted year after year after year. The state assembly wouldn't even take it to a vote. So we got tired, frankly, of writing letters to our state senator. And so we took that action, making GENDA the law here in Brighton. I'll continue. Whereas in the Rochester area, Pride Week is being observed during the week of July 14 through 22nd, 2018, to celebrate the advances towards equality for members of the LGBTQ community in the United States, the state of New York, and the Rochester area. Whereas the members of the Brighton Town Board recognize that much work remains to be done before true equality exists for the LGBTQ community, and we therefore commit to continue to take action in Brighton and advocate for action elsewhere to advance the cause of equality for the LGBT community and for all Americans, including particularly the enactment of GENDA in New York State. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, William W. Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and members of our Town Council, do hereby proclaim July 14 through July 22nd, 2018 as Pride Week in the town of Brighton, to celebrate the LGBTQ community in Brighton and the diversity that makes Brighton strong, and to recommit to working for equal rights for all as we uphold the simple truth that equal rights are truly human rights. And this proclamation is signed this 11th day of July 2018 by myself and by all of the members of the Brighton Town Board, and I'm very happy to present it to you, Jeff.
Thank you very much.
What an honor. Thank you very much. It's because of communities like Brighton that allows our community to be authentic and to live their lives freely and be true to themselves, and I thank you for that. The Out Alliance has been serving Rochester for 45 years at being champions of LGBTQ life and culture, and it's because of communities like Brighton that we are able to do the work that we do within the city. This year, Rock Pride 2018 is Standout Living Color, where we celebrate all the diversities within community, and we celebrate that through colors and through the different spectrums of colors which represents the community of which I am part of, the LGBT community. So I would like to invite all of you to come celebrate with us during Pride. It's going to be an absolutely wonderful experience. We're very excited about it. And again, thank you very much for this honor.
Sure.
I, for one, will certainly be taking you up on that invitation again this year. The Pride Parade is like no other, and there are so many great Pride Week activities. I also want to note that the town of Brighton will be displaying the Pride flag on our front facade for Pride Week next week. So thank you again, Jeff. And finally, we have a presentation tonight from the Rochester, Monroe County Anti-Poverty Initiative. The Anti-Poverty Initiative is a program that is the product of a lot of hard work from a lot of elected officials and from community leaders recognizing the crisis of poverty that we as a community face. And the Anti-Poverty Institute has been working diligently identifying ways of addressing this issue. And I thought it was important. I had a meeting recently down at the Poverty Institute offices down at the United Way. I was involved early on in the process as issues were being identified, processes were being addressed by community members. And it's not going to be an easy go. Nobody ever operated under the illusion that it would be. But I'm pleased tonight we do have from the RMAPI, the Rochester Monroe Anti-Poverty Initiative. We have Dr. Rashid Muhammad, the Director of Operations, and incidentally, my neighbor. And we also have Lorianne Garambi, who is the Community Engagement Specialist. And we have a third person who I'm sure Rashid or Lorianne will introduce. So the floor is yours. Welcome.
Good evening, Supervisor Maley, Town Board, Chief Henderson, and neighbors from Brighton. Thank you very much for opportunity to briefly address you regarding the Rochester Monroe Anti-Poverty Initiative. As most of you are aware, either in some detail or at a cursory level, we face some of the most acute poverty problems in the greater Rochester area that there are in the United States of America. When we look at some of the cohort cities that within the state and within the country, unfortunately, we tend to be number one or number two in a lot of those categories. The good news is that across the community, in a variety of different capacities in our community organizations, our government organizations, neighbors, and friends, everyone is committed to working on these poverty problems. So our RMAPI, or the Rochester Monroe Anti-Poverty Initiative, is not another program. It's not another spending advocacy type of deal. What it is a collaborative of over 50 different organizations coming together to harmonize our efforts to solve poverty. Part of that is reaching out to communities such as Brighton, and I'll say it's the best town in Monroe County, to further engage citizens and the town in the activities that we're talking about. So I'll ask my two colleagues here, both Lorianne Garambe and Graham Hughes, which constitute our community outreach, to briefly talk about some of the things we're doing. And again, the town of Brighton has been gracious enough to allow us to hold one of the RMAPI town halls next month here in Brighton, because we would like to start doing that to widen the net of some of the things we're doing. So over to Lorianne and Graham, please.
Good evening, everyone, members of the board, citizens of Brighton. My name is Graham Hughes. I am the AmeriCorps Vista volunteer working with the Rochester Monroe Anti-Poverty Initiative.
And I'm Lorianne Garambe, the Community Engagement Specialist.
Yeah. So we do a lot of the community...
And if I can just ask you to use, I want to make sure that the TV audience, which is a good, strong audience, is hearing you. So if you can stay close to the mic.
So Lorianne and I together do a lot of the community engagement and outreach work on behalf of our MAPI. Right now we have two main branches of community engagement going on. One is the Participatory Budgeting Project, which I'll talk about, and the other is our Community Community Advisory Council, I apologize, which Lorianne will say a bit about. So.
Sure thing. So the Community Advisory Council provides an opportunity for community members to be able to voice their opinions, their concerns about what's going on within their neighborhoods, within their communities. It provides an opportunity for them to be advocates, because we cannot do the work of our MAPI collectively without the voices of those who are experiencing the poverty, who can speak to the poverty as well too. And so us being able to come out here to speak to you all about our MAPI is going to allow us to be able to branch out, because our MAPI is the Rochester and Monroe Anti-Poverty Initiative, so it's collective. It's not just the city of Rochester. We want to make sure that we are reaching out and ensuring that everyone's voice is being heard. Part of what we do is we are trying to align resources and align approaches, and so we have to ensure that everyone who has something to offer is at the table, and so the work that we're doing can be as effective as possible.
Yeah. So the other piece of our current community engagement work is called participatory budgeting, and to put it plainly, participatory budgeting is a democratic way for people to decide how to spend money. So in this case, we have $175,000 from our Empire State Poverty Reduction Initiative contract for people to decide how to spend using the participatory budgeting process. And currently in the process, we are collecting ideas, all sorts of ideas about how that money could be spent to fight poverty and to build community in Rochester and Monroe County. So to all the folks here on the board, everyone here at our meeting tonight, and all those watching at home, I'd encourage you to look us up on Facebook, Participatory Budgeting Rochester, to contact the Anti-Poverty Initiative if you have any questions, and to submit your ideas for how to spend that money. We also have a couple of events coming up for participatory budgeting. One is next Tuesday night at the Thomas P. Ryan Center, on Webster Avenue. The second is at the Gant Center on July 24th. Both events are from 6 to 8 p.m. Childcare and transportation are both available if you should need either one. And we hope to see you all there, and that you all help us decide how to spend this money. Yeah, so thank you all.
Thank you.
And in closing, we'd just like to say again, our MAPI is a rather comprehensive endeavor involving all the major organizations in Rochester and Monroe County. We encourage all of you as individual citizens and as a community to get actively involved, and we look forward to our town hall so we can go into depth on some of these subjects. But thank you very much for your kindness and accommodation in allowing us to talk to you all tonight.
Thanks, Rashid. Again, that town hall meeting, and of course it is very much open, and the public is not just welcome there, and we really want people at this town hall. It'll be on August 14th, right here in this room, I believe, from 6 to 8 that evening. And thank you for continuing the hard work and for sharing the message.
Thank you all, and have a pleasant evening.
Any questions before
No.
they leave? I should have.
I'm good.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you all. Okay. Now we will continue with our open forum portion of the meeting. But before I do that, I just want to, so that we're in good with our public safety people, I do want to mention the emergency alarm system. If it should be activated, please leave the building immediately. You can leave either through the exit door to my right. If you take that door, turn right, go down the stairs, out the rear door entrance to Town Hall, and move away from the building. Or you can use either of the two double doors in the rear of this room, go through the lobby, out the main front door, down the front stairs, and again, away from the building. And I will also mention that we are broadcasting, as always, now on Spectrum cable digital channel 1303. But as has always been the case, if you should experience technical difficulties with the live broadcast, either the audio or the video from that live broadcast, please contact Spectrum at 756-5000, 756-5000. Now with that, we will start the open forum portion of the meeting. And the open forum really is an opportunity for anyone to come in and address the board about any matter, whether or not it's on tonight's agenda. I would note that if you are here in the room, all of tonight's agenda and supporting materials are back on the table in the rear of the room in the manila folder there. If you're watching us live, either streaming on our YouTube channel off of our webpage, the link is there, or if you're watching on digital channel 1303 on your Spectrum system, you can also review all of those same documents. They're posted online on the Town of Brighton webpage at townofbrighton.org. If you are watching remotely, you can call in with any question or comment. The number is 303-3060. That's 303-3060. Someone will take your call and share your question or comment with me. In addition, if you are deaf or if you're hearing impaired, you can participate in our open forum using our TDD line at 784-5205. Again, our TDD line is 784-5205. And we do welcome your questions or your comments. And with that, I will open the open forum. Is there anyone that would like to address the board this evening during open forum? Hearing none, we will continue with our meeting agenda for this evening. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. We have two public hearings tonight. The first matter really is two related items. It is a required hearing to consider under Section 202B of the town law, a purchase of equipment for our sewer district, along with a bond resolution relating to that improvement. Dan, has the necessary legal notice been provided in this matter?
Sorry, we've done a lot lately. I've lost the thing. Yes, the Supervisor, the notice was published in the June 21st edition of the Brighton Pittsburgh Post.
Thanks very much. Then I declare this public hearing to be open. The public hearing will, as I mentioned, both consider under Section 202B the purchase of two items of equipment, sewer camera inspection equipment and a 6-wheel, 1-ton dump truck for the sewer department, as well as a bond resolution for $120,000 in financing for those items of equipment. Is there anyone that would like to address the board on this public hearing at this time?
Supervisor, I should note that there were two separate notices for each, one for each resolution.
Thank you. Thank you. I see no one. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
Reviewed these during FASC actually twice in the month of June, and we also brought it up at the last meeting that this would be the day that the public hearing would be coming up, so.
Good. In that case, I will declare the public hearing to be closed, and I would ask first for a motion on the resolution pursuant to Section 202B of the town law. Jason?
Bill, with respect to the resolution of the Town Board of the Town of Brighton pursuant to Section 202-B of the Town Law, determining that it is in the public interest to undertake certain improvements On behalf of the Town of Brighton Consolidated Sewer District, I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by bond counsel to the town.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. And now on the bond resolution itself, Jason.
Yes, with respect to the bond resolution, authorizing the issuance of up to $120,000 in serial bonds of the town to undertake certain improvements to the Town of Brighton Consolidated Sewer District, I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Any discussion on that resolution? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Thank you. The next public hearing we have tonight relates to the removal of 2 town trees located in the highway right-of-way adjacent to 603 Claiborne Road and 148 Dale Road. Dan, has the necessary legal notice been given in this matter?
Yes, Supervisor. This notice was also in the June 21st edition of the Brighton Pittsburgh Post.
And postcards were mailed to the adjoining property owners? Thank
yes.
you. Notice having been given, I declare this public hearing to consider the removal of town trees to be open. Is there anyone that would like to address the board concerning the removal of either a 36-inch sugar maple located in the highway right-of-way at 603 Claiborne Road, or a 36-inch Norway maple located in the right-of-way adjacent to 148 Dale Road? Come on up.
Hi, my name's Matt. I live at 148 Dale Road, and
Matt, if you could give us your last name as well.
Matt
just-
DeRosa. So
Thanks.
I live at 148 Dale Road, and the tree, after one of the windstorms, split in half, removal seems necessary. I would be happy if a new tree was planted, as indicated in the letter, and that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. And I don't know if you've connected with our Commissioner of Public Works, Mike Gideon, to talk about, we do have, a list of trees, types, species of trees that we, prefer to have used along the highway right-of-way. And, if you've got an opportunity to finish that connection, and it's certainly our intention to plant a tree. At this point, will we likely wait, will we do it in the fall, or will we do it in the spring?
Probably spring of next year.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
We'll get the tree down a lot quicker than that, though.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board on this matter? Hearing none, is there anyone on the board that would like to address this matter? We've all seen the reports on the trees and the pictures. And okay, hearing none, I declare this public hearing to be closed. Robin, can I have a motion, please?
Certainly. On the matter of the approval of removal of trees located at 603 Claiborne and 148 Dale Road, move on the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Any discussion? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Communications, can I have a motion to receive and file the communications?
So moved.
Second.
First 2 items are annual reports. One from Chief Stephen McAdam, the Chief of the Brighton Fire Department, the annual report for the Brighton Fire Department. And second, the Director of Client Services at Comp Alliance on the 2017 annual report of Comp Alliance, which is our workers' compensation insurance carrier for the town. The last 2 items, one is a letter that I sent to Bill Carpenter, who is the CEO of our RTS, the Regional Transportation Service. I had met with Mr. Carpenter in June, and wanted to follow up that meeting with my letter. I will say that I had a number of concerns that I expressed both in my meeting with Mr. Carpenter, but also in my letter with the proposed Reimagine RTS draft plan. Most of Brighton would fit within what the plan calls the urban service sector. And the urban service sector is roughly indicated by a sort of a circle, what they once upon a time would have called the outer loop, 104, 390, and 590. And of course, most of Brighton is within that area. And under their plan, I think they recognize that one of the problems right now with service is that service is not frequent enough on those frequent urban routes to serve the public. Unfortunately, their plan does not address that problem, at least in the town of Brighton, at all. They have proposed in city routes, a number of them, increasing service frequency during weekday, daytime, and rush hour hours to 15-minute service. And the goal is so people aren't having to look to see when the bus is going to come. They know it's going to come in 15 minutes, so they're just going to go out and get the service. While most of Brighton fits that urban need, no Brighton routes are being given that 15-minute service. Route 47 along Monroe Avenue, 15-minute service stops at Highland Avenue. It stops at the city line. The rest of Monroe Avenue, out at least to Pittsford Plaza and really to the village of Pittsford, meets those same service criteria. We know there are thousands of people living in that corridor. We know there are businesses along that corridor, businesses that people shop at, eat at, and most importantly, work at. And the transit service, we heard from the Poverty Initiative tonight. One of the critical parts of a community solution to our poverty problem is making sure that we have a transit system that effectively gets people from where they live to where the jobs are. We'd like to see jobs better located throughout the county, particularly in those areas in the city of Rochester that are in the urban core where poverty rates are particularly crushing. But to the extent that they're not, it's important that people be able to get there. And transit service that runs every hour doesn't do that. It just doesn't do that. So I addressed service along Monroe Avenue. I addressed service along Winton and Elmwood. Service along Winton and Elmwood in the urban part of this community is being eliminated. Now, think about where that service runs, running from University Avenue and Winton Road through the old village of Brighton, very, very quickly into the town of Brighton, to the 12 Corners, one of our major retail hubs, down Elmwood Avenue, past Town Hall, the Brighton Memorial Library, where people go to use the internet, places of worship, places of business, and ultimately, the University of Rochester, the largest employer in Monroe County. The current Reimagine RTS draft plan would eliminate that service altogether. That simply is bad policy. And then we go out to the western part of town, West Henrietta Road. That corridor, again, passes by the U of R, passes by MCC and the MCC Applied Technology Center. Currently, it goes up East River Road into the south campus of the U of R, which is really the U of R's growth trajectory going forward. We've approved development there, and I anticipate we'll be approving more. And then along West Henrietta Route out to Henrietta, Marketplace Mall. Jobs, 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 education, education, education. And yet that service, again, meeting urban needs, is not being expanded, and in fact, it's being contracted. The service up East River Road would be eliminated. a very important part of that line. There's some other tweaks along that service. So those are some of the issues that I addressed, but more fundamentally, I'm concerned that the philosophy of the plan, when you get outside of the urban core, and by the urban, for these purposes, again, I mean within the outer loop, 395, 90, 104, service is in large part proposed to be privatized. And public transit is important in our rural communities, in our suburban communities, and in our urban communities. Again, I want to hearken back to the presentation from the Poverty Initiative tonight. While poverty is particularly concentrated in our urban core, we know it's an issue here in Brighton. From the day the Brighton Food Cupboard opened, it served more people than they expected to serve at peak activity. We know rural poverty is an issue. So to think that ride sharing, like Uber, to think that college and university shuttles that only serve a student body are a solution. In fact, those shuttles are undermining public transit. There is no reason students shouldn't be taking that Elmwood Avenue and Monroe Avenue bus to the 12 Corners and out to Pittsford Plaza. What's happening by supporting those shuttles, taking away passengers. And those shuttles, jobs, employees can't use them. People with appointments at the medical center, people waiting to visit people at the medical center. So I don't want to beat a dead horse. It's a fairly lengthy letter, and I did get a reply actually just today. But again, although the formal survey that RTS had on their webpage has now concluded, it was a pretty brief survey in the first place. I want to encourage people to join me in sharing your thoughts about RTS. The one other thing, and it's a little sort of different, as I've talked to people, there's a lot of people in the community that haven't ridden a bus in years. And frankly, they don't know how to ride a bus. Do you have to have a card? Do you pay cash? What about transfers? All of those questions. One of my thoughts is sort of an RTS for Dummies program. Give people the opportunity, whether it's on their webpage or just an opportunity to experience, okay, here's what you have to do to ride the bus. Here's how you transfer. Here's how to access their direct message schedule operations. All of those things, I think, part of improving ridership, and they do need to improve ridership. They do have financial issues. They need more funding from the state. Arlie's out here listening. They do need more money from the state. Arlie's nodding from Assembly Majority Leader Joe Morelli's office. But I think getting more ridership, getting people comfortable with riding a bus is part of that solution. So again, I've gone on long enough, but that's my letter relating to the Reimagine RTS plan. We have a motion and a second. Any further comments on this communication this evening? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Committee reports. Community Services, Robin?
The Community Services Committee has not met in the interim since the last town board meeting. Our next meeting will be on Wednesday, July 18th at 9:30 a.m. at the Brookside School at 220 Idlewood Road. Members of the public are encouraged to attend.
Thank you very much. Jason, Finance.
Yes, Finance and Administrative Services met last Tuesday, July 3rd. Each of the items that appear on tonight's agenda were discussed during that meeting. The date and time of our next regular meeting will be on Wednesday, July 18th at 8:30 in the morning. We meet in the Stage Conference Room here at Town Hall, and the public is invited to attend. Also, there's a special FAST meeting tentatively scheduled for Friday, July 20th at 8:30 a.m. in the Stage Conference Room for the FASC and members of the Town Board to discuss and review the capital improvement plan. and the recommendations of the Brighton, or the Budget Review Task Force and the Sustainability Oversight Committee, which both of those bodies have already reviewed the proposals and have made their recommendations and comments. So I guess that there may be
In fact,
further.
our Budget Review Task Force met this morning, and we'll have, I anticipate, one more meeting before
I
the
imagine
20th.
we'll have other communications to firm up that meeting on the 20th at 8:30, but tentatively, that will also be at 8:30 in the morning in the Stage Conference Room. And at both of those meetings, the public is invited to attend.
Thank you, Jason. Jim, Public Safety?
Public Safety met yesterday morning, and at that time covered a number of items. I don't have the report ready, so we'll report on that at our next town council meeting. But our next meeting will be, Tuesday, August 14th, and at 8 o'clock in the morning in the lower level community meeting room.
Thank you, Jim.
Yep.
Public Works, Chris?
Met yesterday, and a number of matters we discussed included the Buckland Park drainage project, where Mike Gideon and Matt Beeman from Parks are looking at ways to improve the drainage of water across Buckland Park there into the wetlands, which seems to be encroaching. So the thought is that they're going to do some improvements upstream of a culvert that exists there. Apparently it's maybe a historic implement that was installed by the prior farmer to drain his lands, but also to clean out the culvert that was implanted there. This, however, is going to require a nationwide permit from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and that we hope to make application for that permit in July and complete that construction this year. We also had a discussion of A-frame signs out on Monroe Avenue. Ramsey Boehner has done a bit of a test of various towns and see how they treat those, and that's continued to be under study. Also, we talked about use of pesticides on 2 town trees that are infested with ants, and generally our policy is not to use pesticides, and do we make any exceptions for trees, which are very important to our town. So we've referred that matter to the Tree Council and look forward to their response. Also, we reviewed a number of trees that the Tree Council has now recommended we remove because they're a hazard. And also, that was the first, I believe, that we've utilized our new process of first going to the Tree Council, as suggested by Commissioner Gideon, and that works quite well. We have their recommendations. Also, we discussed briefly the status of the comprehensive plan and the draft GEIS, which is on for this evening's discussion. But the public meeting on the plan is expected to be August 2nd. The comment period is expected to be through August 13, and there's going to be a brief presentation on the 2nd using multiple stations in the auditorium and lower level conference rooms here at Town Hall. And also there was a brief discussion of the status of the Blossom Road sanitary sewer, what would you call it, valve.
Yeah, we call it the Blossom Road Sanitary Sewer Improvement Project.
And we're waiting on DOT approval of that or their coordination of that, and then we'll pursue that as soon as we get that go-ahead. The next meeting is August 7th at 9 o'clock a.m., and we welcome any member of the public.
And Mike, that public information meeting on August 2nd starts at 6 o'clock? What time?
I don't recall off the top of my head, Bill. I know there'll be a formal presentation followed by the workshop.
Yep, that's right. It'll start with a presentation up in this room.
Yep.
It was sort of a hybrid format with a presentation and then an open house sort of format downstairs in the downstairs meeting room, where there will be several stations where different aspects of the plan will be addressed, and of course the opportunity for comments at the time.
Correct, and we'll publish all of them when the meeting starts. It will all be on our website. It'll be pushed out to the public.
The outline, the tentative outline indicates 7 to 9.
7 to 9.
7 to 7:50 for the formal presentation, then 7:50 to 9 for the open house.
Great. And if I had to guess, I would guess that formal presentation will not run as long as 7:50. But we'll see. Okay, good. Thank you, Chris. All right, old business. The approval and execution of a restrictive covenant relating to access between the planned Whole Foods Plaza and Clover Street and Allens Creek Road. And when I say access, it is a covenant that would prohibit access. Can I have a motion to approve that matter?
So moved.
Second.
Before we have any further discussion, I'm going to ask Ken, is that a matter that Robin should recuse herself on?
Yes.
Thank you. The covenant, it was one of the conditions of approval, and we have now received the covenant signed by the various neighbors in the surrounding neighborhoods. So we have a motion and a second to authorize the supervisor to execute that restrictive covenant. Any discussion by the board?
Something we've worked quite hard on.
Yes, we have.
The town council, I see Mr. Daniele here as well. He and his council have worked on it. The neighbors have all had their input and approved this final form. I see what we have before us has already been signed by members of the neighborhood. And we now just seek the town's final confirmation and approval of that. And then all that will be left is for the developer to sign on it.
Correct. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mailer?
Aye. New business, reading and approval of claims. Jason.
Yes. Earlier today, I reviewed claims totaling $513,845.04. Notable claims include to Spinrite Incorporated in the amount of $54,541.87, representing installation repairs as part of our 2018 sidewalk program services. Also to Suit Coat Corporation in the amount of $114,775.03, representing oil and stone treatment on town streets and roads as part of our chip sealing program. Also to Villager Construction in the amount of $34,316.99, representing payment on the water main road repair project at the town landfill. There's only the retainage that's left to be paid on that. And also to Genesee Valley Motors in the amount of $50,284.12, representing 2 Dodge Charger police replacement vehicles in accordance with our capital improvement plan. The claims all appear to be in order, and I move that they be approved.
Second.
Any discussion? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio? Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mailer?
Aye. Jason, why don't you do the next one, too?
Sure. The next matter seeks adoption of a negative declaration under SECRA and approval of bond resolution authorizing the town of Brighton to issue up to $995,000 in serial bonds to finance the acquisition of real property located on Westfall Road. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by bond counsel to the town.
And I'm going to ask that we first take action on the seeker, the negative declaration, which is actually a resolution prepared by the town attorney. That's resolution number 11
Gotcha, okay. So
in your packet.
So I will withdraw the initial motion, and my motion will be with respect to the seeker resolution regarding the town's 2018 open space acquisition and financing plans. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't set you up better for that one, Jason.
All right.
We have a motion and a second on the neg deck. Any discussion? Again, this does relate to the purchase of approximately a little over 26 acres of land adjoining Buckland Park. Hearing no discussion, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mailer?
Aye, and now the bond resolution itself.
Okay, So now with respect to the bond resolution, authorizing the acquisition of one parcel of land containing in the aggregate approximately 26 acres located on South Winton Road within the town. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by bond counsel to the town.
Second.
Any discussion, any questions? Again, this bond resolution authorizes the issuance of up to $995,000 in bonds and also the remainder of the funding plan for a total anticipated maximum cost of $1.256 million. We have a motion and a second. If there's nothing further, Dan, please call. Oh,
Just
sorry.
one question. If we're referring to the property in the neg deck as being located on Westfall Road and in the bond resolution as being on South Winton Road, is that just?
Oh, and actually, let's, that's a good catch. Let's, I do see it references Winton Road. It is actually on Westfall Road. So if I could have your agreement on a friendly amendment, and
amend.
Robin, your second to amend the references
Yeah.
to South Winton Road to Westfall Road, because it does front on Westfall Road. Thanks, good catch.
Which of the two resolutions is that
This is
on?
the bond
This is
resolution.
bond.
You'll see it, for example, I see it in the
Bold.
initial whereas paragraph. There may be other places. Yeah, section 1, it's there. So Westfall Road. Okay, we have that friendly amendment to the motion, and the second has agreed. Now, is there any further discussion? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Next is something we have talked about, and I am very pleased to really put the final step into place. Over a year ago, as we began the process of conducting a townwide revaluation of our property valuations, Elaine Ainsworth came to me, our town assessor, and I already knew that it was her expectation, her intention to retire once we finished the revaluation. But she came to me along with our then information technology director, Sue Wentworth, who herself had a background in real estate appraisal. And their plan was that Sue would work with Elaine on the revaluation, dramatically reducing the cost of the revaluation because it meant we would not have to go outside for consulting services for anything other than some real specialty type properties. That saved us about $80,000, but also it started a transition path. And as I said, today we're at the final step. Before our next meeting, Elaine Ainsworth will have retired after about a lot of years, over 20, working for the town of Brighton as our assessor. And effective as of July 21st, this motion would appoint Sue Wentworth as our new town assessor to fill the remainder of Elaine Ainsworth's term, which runs through September 30th, 2019. We've all worked with Elaine and Sue. We've worked with Sue as in the IT area, and I think we've all worked with her now as well in the property tax assessment. She is a phenomenally talented, a Renaissance person to have taken on two very, very different skill sets and done them both well. And I'm looking forward to having her become formally the town assessor. So can I have a motion? Jim?
Yes. I move on the resolution to appoint Sue Wentworth as town assessor effective July 21 of 2018. Moving the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye, and Jim, why don't you do the next one as well?
Next one will be authorizing appointment of Sandra Jones to the position of Deputy Court Administrator, full-time, effective July 23rd, 2018. And move on the resolution, again, as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
This is a civil service appointment. Any discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Chris?
Next item is to authorize the supervisor to execute a change order with Spring Sheet Metal and Roofing in the amount of $12,152.06 for unforeseen work required in connection with the siding work being done on the storage building located at the Ops Center. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Robin?
On the next matter, to authorize the supervisor to execute an amendment to the contract with Stantec in the amount not to exceed $24,880 to review and update the University of Rochester's traffic impact study. Also approved to amend the budget revenue account A.DPW.8020.2560 and expense the account A.DPW.8020.4.52, each in the same amount. I move on the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
This is the ongoing review of traffic conditions in the area of the University of Rochester South Campus. It is a traffic study that was required as part of the town's incentive zoning approval for the institutional plan development district done through incentive zoning for the U of R's South Campus along East River Road and Merlin Drive. It is slightly behind, delayed from the original anticipated schedule. You'll recall that the university came in and our commissioner discussed the fact that with ongoing construction in that area, traffic counts would not be representative of true conditions. Now that that work is finished, this will enable the work to be done. The work, that $24,880, is paid by the University of Rochester, and in fact, we have the check in hand, so we're ready to go. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Chris?
Next item is to authorize the supervisor to execute a contract with Scanex Pipe Services, Inc. for the 2018 Cured in Place Pipe CIPP service for a contract amount not to exceed $192,900. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
Mike, if you could talk about this just a little bit.
Sure. We, annually, we have a pipe relining budgeted item for $192. This year, it's $192,000. We put out bids. Scanex was the only firm that did respond to the bid. We've worked with them before. We've worked well with Scanex before. So we're comfortable with the bids. We reviewed the bids. We've talked with Scanex. So we'd like to see it awarded to those folks.
And this is a process where they reline
Yeah, it's a
pipes in
kind of
place?
yeah, it's an interesting process. It's not new, but it's a cost-saving measure. Otherwise, we'd be digging up pipes everywhere to replace them. So Scanex basically puts in a plastic liner that's, I'll call it deflated. They add heat to it, the liner expands, and then they pull the heat away for it. The liner hardens inside the sewer. It not only fixes any leaks, but it also provides structural integrity to the pipe. So it's a great process, and it's very cost-effective compared to digging up a pipe.
It's one of those infrastructure projects that it really is invisible.
Very.
But if we stopped, it would all too soon be all too visible.
Yes, we'd all know about it.
So
Thank you,
first,
Mike.
I've heard it called the cured in place pipe, as opposed to just the liner, and that's what it is. It actually cures.
That's correct, yeah, they put it, it's like I said, it's a sort of a folded membrane. They feed it into the pipe, and then they hit it with steam, and it expands, and then it takes up the diameter of the pipe, and it hardens in place, cures in place.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Jim?
Next item is to approve appointment of Labor and Facilities Department for Zachary Zudak, effective July 30th, 2018. I move on the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Zach has been working as a seasonal employee, but he's really got a lot more experience than a lot of the folks that we have hired on a seasonal basis. I know a number of people we got a lot of interest in the
Sure
position, but his experience and frankly our experience with Zach, he seems skilled but also very personable. So we have a motion and a second on that. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Next, we'll skip over the promotion of Tim Karch, which we've already done. And Jim, if you would handle the next one.
Next one is to authorize a transfer in the amount of $5,000 from the police account, A 3120.4.65, to a new police account, or Pulse account, I should say, 3510.4.65 to fund repairs to the animal control vehicle. I move in the resolution as prepared the attorney to the town.
Second.
This is a matter we discussed in finance.
The animal control is part of the police budget. Due to the aging condition of the animal control vehicle, these repairs were emergency and necessary, so we moved them from our regular police account.
Thank you. We've got a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Robin?
On the next matter, to authorize the supervisor to approve an amendment to the current fee schedule for dog boarding fees from $26 a day to $28 a day to match the January 1st, 2018 Pittsford Animal Control contract amount. I move on the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
And pretty self-explanatory. This does reflect the actual boarding per diem fees from Pittsford Animal.
Correct.
Further discussion? Hearing none. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Jason?
Yes, the next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to amend the salary schedule for seasonal employees effective 12/31/18 to reflect the increase to the New York State minimum wage of $10.40 per hour to $11.10 per hour. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
And again, as we have discussed in the past, this is part of the several stage increase in the minimum wage that ultimately will lead to, in this part of the state, a $12.50 per hour minimum wage. It's been going up by 70 cents an hour for the last couple of years. Other parts of the state will have a higher rate. And we have also, to make sure we maintain, a series of different positions reflecting, the different skill sets for our employees. The seasonal salary schedule is affected right up through the different positions. So it's not just the actual minimum wage number. Other positions will go up 70 cents an hour effective 12/31/18. We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Fogel?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Jason, why don't you do the
Yes,
next one?
the next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to adopt standard workday and reporting resolution for elected and appointed officials. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
This is a matter that is now required as we are elected or re-elected to our positions. We have to either prepare a new standard workday report or reaffirm an existing one, which you can do for a period of time. And so that is this resolution, and it is workday reporting for the town clerk, for Robin, for Jim, and myself, each of the officials who began serving a new term this past January 1st. So we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Robin?
Wild scrolling.
Sorry.
Okay, that's right. On the matter to receive and file draft generic environmental impact statements, DGEIS, prepared by Barton and Logodice, DPC, regarding the Envision Brighton 2028 Comprehensive Plan, and to determine whether the DGEIS is complete and adequate for public review and comment, and if so, authorize Ramsey A. Boehner, Environmental Review Liaison Officer, to publish and distribute notice of same as required by SECRA regulations, indicating that any written comments will be received through August 13th, 2018. I move on the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Thank you, Robin. Again, we've talked about this this evening. Was discussed during the earlier report from Chris. In particular, I want to again remind people that on August 2nd, that's a Thursday evening, the community will have an opportunity to hear a presentation about the comprehensive plan and submit comments. It'll be, again, both a traditional presentation as well as an open house where people will be able to one-on-one interact with town staff and our consulting team about the comprehensive plan. We want your input. We really want to encourage people. Judy and I were talking earlier, August is never an ideal time for those sorts of meetings. Unfortunately, we're a little bit under the gun in terms of our funding source. This is funded through a state grant through NYSERDA, the New York State Energy Research and Development Agency. And so unfortunately, we really don't have the luxury of putting this public meeting off. There will be a formal public hearing, and the Comp Plan Committee itself, after this public information meeting, will consider the comments, make any changes they deem to be appropriate, then vote to transmit it to the town board, and it's the town board that will hold that public hearing at one of our two meetings, I would anticipate, in September. So that's a...
What are the times again on that, Bill?
The meeting is at,
on
the
the
public
2nd.
information meeting on the 2nd is at 7.
7 o'clock, yeah.
And that's not just with respect to the draft generic environmental impact statement, but on the entire
On the
Vision
plan
Brighton
itself,
plan
that's right. Yep,
And
absolutely.
having read through the DGEIS, it largely says in terms of the environmental impact is that there won't be any by the adoption of the plan, because the plan itself calls for certain activities that will be subject to their own review.
Right.
So from that standpoint, you won't see a lot in here about environmental impact. However, and in speaking with Councilman DePonzio as well, this is a good summary of what's in the Envision Brighton plan itself. So that might be a worthwhile place to start as an executive summary before then digging into a very, very lengthy document. This one's only about 50 pages, I believe. 40-some
Only.
pages. No, I'm sorry, this is actually, it says only 25, so excuse me. It just felt like 50.
It is kind of good. And I'm sorry, I know Robin made the motion. Who seconded that?
Seconded.
Jason, thank you. Thanks, Chris. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Matters of the supervisor, a couple things I want to mention. I've already talked about my letter to RTS. Last week, there was well, let me back up a little bit. For a number of years, there has been a relationship with the Rochester area and Brighton in particular through the Jewish Federation of Greater Rochester and the community of Modi'in, Israel, and the Jewish Agency of Israel. There have been student exchange programs, and there have been a series now of 4 what are called Ramim exchanges, which are exchanges involving professional people, both from the Rochester area and from Modi'in, typically in their 30s and 40s. And we just had the 4th Ramim exchange group from Modi'in that was here in the Rochester area for about the past 10 days. Most of them left on Sunday. I had the opportunity to engage with them on a couple of occasions, including some of them, one in particular, who was out there as regularly as I was, running on the Brickyard Trail while I was walking on the Brickyard Trail. But it was great to meet Avi. But it was great to meet the whole group from Modi'in, and there will be a Rochester delegation going back to Modi'in in October of this year. And we've, as I mentioned, we've had student exchanges and have had the opportunity to meet some of those students. It's a wonderful program. I gave them a proclamation and noted the fact that these interactions between our communities, step by step, we build bridges. And in a time where we all too often hear about things that are driving people apart, we should never forget that there are still so many wonderful people, communities, and programs that are bringing people together, and this is one of them. Monday night, we just, this is I do a lot of ribbon cuttings, but very few of them are as special as the ribbon cutting we did Monday night. We did the ribbon cutting on the brand new Sway Fun Inclusive Glider, which is in the back of Town Hall. Dan was there, Robin, you were there. This is a project that we've partnered with the Kiwanis Club, the Brighton Kiwanis. The playground back there is, if you look at the sign, it's the Brighton Kiwanis playground. And you can really see the presence of Brighton Kiwanis in several places on our campus, in particular the playground, but also the library. Brighton Kiwanis has been very generous in their support of the community, but they've also been very generous in their support of other groups in the community, particularly the disabled community. I'm fortunate enough to have a group home right across the street from my house run by CP Rochester. And the residents of that home, as well as the residents of another group home in Pittsford, are a part of what Kiwanis calls their Action, A-K-T-I-O-N club. And it's Kiwanis's program for disabled people. And the members of the Action Club helped with fundraising for this glider. They made and sold magnets. But this glider is special because it is inclusive. It does encourage play for all, and in particular, it's a glider that can, people in wheelchairs can wheel right in and set their brakes, and just like the name says, Sway Fun, the glider goes back and forth. We had some of the residents who are in wheelchairs, some of them who are not, and some non-disabled individuals, all in the glider, all having fun. The video of it is a wonderful thing, and thank you so much to Kiwanis, Jordan and Jamie Nuringer, who work with the residents in the group home in my neighborhood. That work is great work, and I'm hoping to see, I know we'll see the residents of the home using the glider, and I'm looking forward to seeing other community members, both disabled and not, using that glider. So, great night. Last night was our first Tuesday night concert that the rec department has put on now for many, many years. We had about 250 people, a wonderful crowd out to hear the Brighton Symphony Orchestra. And next Tuesday night, we expect an even bigger crowd when Noble Vibes. Noble Vibes is a local reggae band. Some of their members live here in Brighton. And they are phenomenally popular, and they are also phenomenally good. And you just, reggae is the cheapest therapy there is. You will not go away from this concert feeling bad. You cannot feel bad listening to reggae. So I encourage everybody to come out. Buckland Park at the pavilion near the concession stand. And by the way, we do have a new manager out there at the concession stand. I met Dexter last night. He runs a restaurant up in Rondequoit, but he's also going to be doing the work at the concessions. And it was great to see Dexter and his team out there last night doing a pretty good business during that concert. So,
Repeat the time.
yes, I won't repeat it because I don't think I said it. But it's at 6:30 in Buckland Park. All of those Tuesday night concerts. Good. Last night was the first one. There'll be 5 more each of the next 5 Tuesday nights. That's all I have. Matters of the attorney to the town. Matters of the clerk.
I have nothing this evening.
Matters of the board.
I'll just make another few announcements about our recreation programs. Our summer programs are in full swing. The camps are going. There's still many great opportunities, however, for your family to get active this summer. Please do check out our program brochures. They're available online at BCSC buildings, the Town Hall, Brighton Memorial Library, and the Brookside Recreation Center. Registration is required for programs through the Brighton Recreation Department, and space is limited. Registration can be done online, by mail, or in person at the Rec Department. Our Brighton Town Hall pool is now open. It is located at 2300 Elmwood Avenue, right behind the Town Hall complex and the Memorial Library. It will be open daily from June 16th through August 17th. On Monday through Thursday, it's open from 12:30 to 7:30 p.m., and Friday through Sunday, 12 to 6 p.m. There is a small fee, $3 per Brighton resident and $6 per non-resident. And for $40, you can obtain a season pass. And those are only available to Brighton residents. So please do join us. And also remember to join us for the Summer Farmers Market on Sundays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Brighton High School parking lot, 1150 Whitten Road South. And this is our 10th anniversary year, and we'll be doing a lot of special programming. So again, please feel free to join us.
I think this Sunday is Public Safety Day, so our public safety agencies are going to be there. Lots of toys that kids really enjoy. The fire trucks and the police and the ambulance will all be on hand at the market this Sunday.
Yeah, but that concludes my announcements.
And one other, and I don't know whether, how many of you, I think I saw Robin had replied, but on Sunday the 22nd, we're going to be reading Frederick Douglass, another celebration of this, the bicentennial 200th anniversary of the birth of Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass, who lived off of South Avenue in what is now the city of Rochester, but at the time was the town of Brighton. So we're proud to claim Frederick Douglass as a favorite son here in Brighton. But I know I'm going to be reading, this is a program that is going to be going on at libraries and community centers in Brighton and in the city of Rochester, I believe the locations are. And at 1:30 on Sunday, July 22nd, I will be kicking off 2 hours of Frederick Douglass at Brighton Memorial Library. So again, if any of the rest of you, I know they're looking for readers, so I'm looking forward to that. Oh gosh, thank you, Judy. Oh yes, Gideon Cobb Days. Gideon Cobb Days is also the weekend, Friday the 20th and Saturday the 21st. On Friday the 20th, there will be a luncheon over at the Winter Garden at Brickstone. And that's always a fun, history-filled event. Then on the 21st, we'll be out at Buckland, at the Buckland House, with a variety of activities, including an ice cream social, and also some vintage 1812 reenactors, War of 1812 reenactors, who will be drilling out there on the drilling field at Buckland Park. And I do want to note, because we had this discussion a while ago, we had the discussion about fireworks and the noise that the fireworks and the concerns that it can have to people with dogs. As part of this drilling, there will be, these drillers will be shooting. They will not be shooting live ammunition, of course, but they, as part of the drills, they will be firing rifles, and that will cause some noise. So I just want to make people aware of that. We'll make note of that as well on the web page. But yes, thank you for that reminder, Judy. Gideon Cobb Days are a program of Historic Brighton, and with financial support as well from Dollinger Associates and the Brighton Rotary Club. And since we're talking about some fun events and history-related events, this weekend, this Saturday at 4 o'clock, also at the Buckland House, the Friends of the Brickyard Trail will be holding an afternoon tea. But it's a lot more than a tea. It's an opportunity to explore not only the Buckland House, but also there will be a guided walk on the Brickyard Trail. There is no better guide for the Brickyard Trail than Peggy Dempsey, and Peggy will be leading a walk on the Brickyard Trail at 4:30. I'm going to take that walk, but I have to be back at 5:30 because I will be leading a walk on the Loop Trail around Buckland Park. It's about a mile-long trail. That'll be at 5:30. So if you're interested in the Buckland House, if you're interested in the Brickyard Trail, if you're interested in learning how you can become a friend of the Brickyard Trail and help us keep that magnificent trail in the Sandy Frankel Nature Park in great shape, please come out this coming Saturday, 4 p.m. All right, enough. Anything else? Then, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Meeting stands adjourned. Our next meeting will be July 25th, right here at 7 p.m. Have a good evening, everybody.